I know there's a possible imitator out there, but I am the real Tom Forrest. What? Oh.
For some level of context, that was my hair. I didn't have a haircut for 10 years. We grew a lot of cannabis. I actually grew so much cannabis that I started looking like this. When you sell too much weed, you start to blend in. So I'll jump right into it. I've got a little video to start with, which we should be able to get up on
Here's to the pioneers, the ones who break new ground, challenge the norm and refuse to accept the status quo. The mavericks who see beyond what is and envision what can be. They're the ones who see opportunity where others see obstacles. They are the risk takers, the innovators, the ones who dare to dream. They're the pioneering ones who believe that natural healing can be achieved through medicinal cannabis. At Puro, we celebrate the power of nature and the potential of medicinal cannabis to change lives. We honour the trailblazers who have paved the way for this industry and the visionaries who continue to push the boundaries of what is possible. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who actually do. Join us on this journey of innovation and discovery, and let's grow the future.
We spoke a lot back in the day of the benefits of the sea breeze, and only now we realise that we've never had fungal issues like powdery mildew that plague other cannabis farms. And so it's that true extent of the location is now being realised in the preventative nature. But to go back to the point of the benefits of Kekadangu, it's one of those magical farm sites, and it's not just one of the factors, it's everything from the air quality, the UV light intensity, the daylight hours at this particular latitude, the proximity to the ocean and that gentle ocean breeze, how that works all together to create a perfect environment. And then that's compounded by our soil profile and our soil texture and composition. The mountains surrounding us make for a perfect microclimate. So it is one of the best farms in the entire world to grow medicinal world-class cannabis. Cool. So yeah, thank you so much for hanging around to hear me speak. I'll first thank you, Michael, for wearing my dreads, giving them another life. And yeah, thank you to my team that's come over from New Zealand, from Australia. Thank you to all of you for hanging around and not going to the bar. It's much appreciated. And that little video, I just wanted to showcase, essentially pioneering an industry is a very, very difficult thing to do. And you saw the New Zealand mussels, the kiwi fruit, those first early adopters of a new commodity in a growing industry. And that's what you all are. And that's not easy. So I appreciate the tenacity that's needed in the cannabis space. It's hard work, and yeah, it's nice to look to other industries that have gone through that growth, experienced those growing pains, and have established themselves. And I'm very excited that New Zealand, Thailand, several other countries around the world can establish themselves as powerhouse producers of top quality cannabis. So I'll start with one more little joke because I couldn't help myself. I really enjoy it. I work with some of the best consultants in the world. Guys like Sustanza are some of the best growers. And we asked ourselves, how do we get our plants a little bit better? How do we improve our yield, improve our terpene profile, improve our potency? So I started teaching the plants mathematics. Unfortunately, they all grew square roots. All right, okay. I promise I'll get serious with the presentation. Okay, so this is our farm site at Kekadangu, top of the South Island of New Zealand. This is one of the most beautiful farms, and as you can see, we have the snow-capped mountains, the turquoise water down a cliff, there's seals that frolic on the beach. The soil profile is exceptional, and it's in the sunniest place in Marlborough, New Zealand. So I'll explain a little bit why all of those factors are very, very important. So for now, we'll just jump right into it, okay, yeah, cool. So this is one of our research zones, and just a really nice sunrise picture more than anything else. And you can see the uniformity that we strive for in our plants. And it's not photoshopped. So this is how good our growers and our commercial team are doing. So quick disclosures, I'll jump through. Cultivation Director and co-founder of Puro New Zealand. We've been operating for around 6 years now. Myself and Sank and one other gentleman started the project there. I'm a manager with Stealth Garden Australia. Sasha has founded that company now more than 15 years ago. And we've just recently started Stealth Garden Thailand with Tapana. And Stealth Garden specialises in leading horticultural equipment and supplies, fertiliser, consumables, and hardware for cultivation. I also co-founded an equipment supply and consulting company for the commercial cannabis space. And finally, I was fortunate to receive a Churchill Fellowship for cannabis agronomy. So I've published a white paper on cannabis cultivation and regulations. It's available for free online, and it also comes with a little short video where I show inside Aurora, Canopy, Tilray, Tweed, facilities across 10 different countries, and talk about how the regulations actually affect the cultivation. So in this presentation, it's only a quick one, so I'll skim through pretty quickly and try to get some fun details across as well. I'll talk about our history, the importance of site selection, everything stems back to good nursery production and good clones, and cultivation targets, what we're trying to achieve, harvest and processing, because growing it is really only one half of the battle. Packaging is extremely important, and there's some people here that can talk to packaging and the importance of different packaging for hours on end, which I appreciate. And pharmaceutical accreditations, what do we need to operate in the medicinal cannabis space? So this is our team. This was around harvest time. We grow as a team leading into the single season outdoor harvest. We have former professional athletes, we have former growers from around the world, we have an incredibly good quality and compliance team, and that's what allows us to play in the pharmaceutical space. Without your quality team, you don't necessarily have the accreditations, the documentation, the record keeping to work into high-level medicinal cannabis. So it's as important as growing, and we often joke, we grow cannabis and paperwork. That's the two things that we produce. And this was a really special day. This was the day we received a federal government grant to the value of around $13 million and had the Minister for Agriculture over. So it was a really, really powerful moment for our team. And we gave him a little bouquet of cannabis flowers, and he was nursing it all around. At the end of the day, the agricultural minister came and said, can I take this home? And our quality team said, no, you don't have a chain of custody form, you don't have a license, that would be illegal. And we took the flowers back from him. We had to. So a big part of what we do is driven by our values, and when you're setting up a cannabis company, it's all well and good to grow that fire, but at the end of the day, you need to have a business structure that supports you during the hard times, and that's why we respect. Tenacity is probably the most important value that we have, because the cannabis industry is hard work, and you need to be tenacious. We have integrity, from legitimate C of A's that we learnt about this morning to being honest and transparent about our cultivation, our successes and our failures. Sustainability is incredibly important to us. We believe we're one of the most, if not the most, sustainable cannabis company in the world, and our approach to agriculture should demonstrate that. Teamwork is important, celebrate the wins, and of course, safety. Team safety is as important. So yeah, we founded in 2018. We're trying to grow the industry for New Zealand. We grow indoor, outdoor, and in polytunnel in greenhouses. We do nursery, research and breeding, right through to bulk packaged material. So that's our niche. We didn't get into the vertical approach. We just wanted to be cultivators and be the very best cultivators we could be. So we know our knitting and we stick to it. In 2018, we were founded. And we've since supplied local product to market. We've got some of the best-selling, or the best-selling products in New Zealand. We're now exporting to Australia and around the world. So we try not to make too many announcements about it. We're not the type of company that makes an announcement for the sake of an announcement. We let our business do the talking and just kind of try to sit back and grow the plant and sell the plant. This was the day when the Agricultural Minister Damien O'Connor came out. It was a really beautiful day. We had the local Maori came out and welcomed us to that area and really gave us their blessing for producing medicine in that land. And the questions that we got from the local community and the community support from our neighbours to the extended region was really, really powerful. So I'll quickly talk to that government investment. Essentially, they're funding us to do research and breeding. We're publishing a handbook on organic cannabis agronomy, so we're taking all of our data and we're publishing that for the good of the industry. The grant is not for our own commercial success, it's for us to help an industry grow together. It covers us for research and breeding and waste management and organic manufacturing. So we're looking at different methods to be more sustainable and grow a local industry and hopefully have an effect on the worldwide stage, and that's evident by so many global global networking that occurs at events like this, where we get to hang out in these beautiful places. So big thing for us was we looked at farm sites all over Australia and New Zealand, and Marlborough has an incredible feat of very, very strong UV light and the most sunshine hours. So it's latitudinally opposite Humboldt County. They're 42 degrees north, we're 42 degrees south. So we have beautiful summer, long sunshine hours, and so this is why they grow such good Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc. You'll see it in every hotel and restaurant in the whole of Thailand. But really, we're excited to see what those conditions can do for medical cannabis production. Our indoor site is here in Waihopai Valley, just a little bit closer to town. We made sure we had the infrastructure, the ancillary industries, the boiler makers, the dam diggers, all of those industries that exist for viticulture made it really choice for setting up an indoor facility, because there's no point being so remote that you can't access labour or services. So this is in one of our grow rooms. This is Max, our indoor cultivation manager. He used to grow in California and was a professional basketball player. Pro tip when you're hiring your team, ex-professional athletes make amazing agronomists and cultivation team because they work fast and hard. They're great in a team environment. Our other cultivation manager is a Team New Zealand sailor. You can actually find him falling off a yacht. It's pretty funny. And yeah, those two guys, they do the job of 3 other people at any time. You see Max in a trimming room, he looks like Sonic the Hedgehog. He works that fast. So it's good to have an understanding of plant or black market grower experience is fine, but at the end of the day, a fast work ethic is worth its weight in gold. So we're very fortunate to have Max, and you can see, he just shines in his environment there. So at Waihopai, we do year-round GACP accredited production, seed, flower and clone production, and it's been designed for small R&D volumes and nursery phenohunting, seed production and clone production. So we have also supplied clones to other growers across New Zealand, and I think that nursery space is a really, really important place because it all starts with good nursery production. They have to be a trusted supplier, they have to be free from pest, disease and virus, and they have to have that transparency with their genetics that some nurseries are really doing well and others are leaving a bit to be desired. So find a good nursery, make a good relationship with that nursery. Kaikoura is our outdoor farm site. So as you can see, we grow outdoor single season, and then we have our polytunnel and our drying shed in the middle there. It's very, very large outdoor single crop. We've done some trials with some autoflowers, and we're starting to see the results from autoflowers, the non-photo period determinant varieties. I think there's amazing potential in autoflower genetics, especially as you're starting to see those potency and flower structure really rival what is produced on good photo periods. So we're looking at how we can do more seasons and stagger our drying and try to reduce the bottlenecks. Because when we're harvesting tens of thousands of plants, tons and tons of material at once, naturally we find new bottlenecks every year, and we work hard to improve every year. And we're on our 4th year of commercial production, so we're starting to really feel like we're hitting our stride. This material is sold locally and again exported in bulk volumes around the world. So I wanted to go a little bit into some of the more, I guess, like geeky agronomic side of what makes a successful site or not. And for us, it's driven by data. So this is just one example of the work we do where we mapped out wind direction and intensity to figure out the best time for germination, for transplanting, what is our prevailing winds, where do we need to put windbreaks around the farm, and all of that data helps steer us to make risk-averse decisions. So very, very important to start collecting that data and have a good data scientist that you can rely on to translate it, because there's no point collecting 1,000 data points if you can't actually read it and make it into farmer-friendly information like this. And the second little graph there is just showing the incredible sunshine hours that we receive, and it's exactly prime for high-quality outdoor production. And this is a big part of what we're trying to be, the Sauvignon Blanc of cannabis, where we have a variety in an environment that suits, and the terroir that we can experience gives us the provenance and the point of difference. There's going to be low-cost material coming from South America, from Eastern Europe, and I don't want to compete with them. I want to set a bar of quality, and that, I think, will give people in this room a point of difference as well. If you grow quality, you don't have to race to the bottom in pricing, and in all honesty, there's going to be price compression in the industry here as well, so you need to be growing cheaper and higher quality, and that's really what we've sort of established ourselves. And so we also trademarked Sauvignon Blanc for cannabis, so if we get that genetic, we'll be able to bring that out and hopefully get a glass of wine and some nice flowers in some restaurants here. Just a drone shot of the fields, just sort of showing some of the things that we learnt along the way. In our first commercial season, we had the driest season on record. We really struggled. We were trucking in water to make sure the crops were getting what they needed. We even had to allocate certain zones to get watered while others struggled. It was hard. So naturally, we put a dam in. That was the risk mitigation strategy. Following the installation of the dam, we actually had the wettest season that we have on record. So it's Murphy's Law, what you do in farming will naturally work with a little bit of a twist. But now, we have the water that allows us to be risk averse and feel confident in what we're trying to achieve. So we are starting from the start. The nursery is the foundation of everything we do. I'm not going to lie, I stole those photos from Sustanza. They're a consulting company locally here in Thailand, and people that I often describe as the best growers in the world. If you need to speak to Juan, he's hiding in the corner because he knew I was going to call him the best grower in the entire world. Sustanza are great people to work with and just good human beings. So that's their clones and our clones on the bottom shelf there. And starting with clones with that level of uniformity is the gold standard here. You look at chrysanthemums, poinsettias, you look at ornamental cut flowers, they've got uniformity that looks like it's artificial. You can't replicate that. This is what we need to get to with cannabis, and there are some groups that are doing this at a very high level and some that are not. If you want laser level uniformity in your flowering rooms, you have to have uniformity in your clones. That's where it's all going to start. Hygiene is everything. If you start clean, you'll grow clean from the very beginning. We do our phenotyping and our seed production. And we also, with organic cloning, our farm outdoors is certified organic with BioGrow. So we have to use different organic ingredients. We can't use IBA or NAA or synthetic plant hormones. We can't use rock wool if we're cloning for our outdoor farm. So that sets its own set of challenges. And we've had to learn about different aloe and willow extracts and how to use organic components to make organic clones. And that gives it a little bit of a USP for clones that are different to the conventional. And this is part of our sustainable approach. It aligns with our values. As Katiaki, my Maori is not great, essentially it means caretakers of the land. We're farmers, we want to leave the land in better condition than we found it, and that aligns with our values of growing organically and starting from the start with organic clones. And having the right infrastructure in place for this as well. Clean rooms for clones is everything, and clean room SOPs. So that allows us to be pure, green and sustainable. And a big part of that is IPDM. There's no point spraying pesticides, fungicides, herbicides all over your crop and then failing when you're trying to get pharmacopoeia minimum quality standards and selling into a medicinal market or a more regulated market. So what we can do is we learn from some of the more unconventional approaches to agriculture. We learn lessons from permaculture, from biodynamics, from organic approaches to agriculture. And we also learn lessons from conventional protected cropping and broadacre farmers. And the most important thing is local knowledge. Speak to your neighbours, go around and look at their farms and their facilities, find out what their pest pressures are, because your neighbours have knowledge, and particularly if they've been farming the land for a long time, they'll be able to tell you what pests and disease pressures at what time of year is going to cause you problems. So local knowledge is invaluable and keeps the relationship with your neighbours friendly as well. You don't want a neighbour that's going to call and make complaints about you. I've seen this happen in Canada and it's a bad time. So it'll vary very dramatically between your location, your microclimate and your seasons. And even is relevant for indoor facilities. Like you need to know what bugs are going to find their way into the airlocks, how are they going to get into the ducting. All of these factors are common across both indoor greenhouse and outdoor cultivation. For us, we learnt a lot about different caterpillar species and cutworm, and we've now got on top of those as pest pressures. Fusarium and powdery mildew are probably the two biggest issues I've seen in cannabis. We're very fortunate with our Kikarangu site. We've never had powdery mildew because of this beautiful ocean breeze that I mentioned before, the iodine in the air. It can be challenging with that wind, but it also means our plants test clean and we don't have powdery. And botrytis is a common one, particularly in high humidity locations. So your dehumidification and cooling capacity needs to be above spec. There's no point putting it where it can just cope with the load, because sooner or later spores will get in, cause problems, crop losses. And in this cutthroat industry, you can't afford to have repeat failures in your rooms. You need to be successful and you need to mitigate those risks. So yeah, mites, botrytis is grey mold. Yeah, in the dry season, mites, spider mites love hot, dry conditions, and predator bugs, beneficial bugs, is the best solution for keeping these pest pressures down, used both preventatively and as a remedy. This is one of my favourite little graphs from a supplier in Australia. It shows you all of the different pests and then the predators that actually predate those pests. And there's a whole bunch of different life cycles and interactions going on. Some thrip have the ability to jump, others prefer to nest into flowers. So figuring out, do you have onion thrip, do you have flower thrip, what have you got, and then implementing the right predator to predate and push that pest pressure down. And a lot of them will attack the problem until there's no food left, and then they'll die. So that's why beneficial bugs and having a relationship with a good beneficial bug supplier is pivotal to not having to use pesticides. So fertigation and crop management. Fertigation is very, very important. You're looking at the diet of the plant. Like, are you giving it the 16 macro elements that it needs in the right ratios across all of the different cultivars? And are you providing the right fertilizer at the right time to the right strength and doing it cost effectively? So as a shameless product promotion, we grow with House and Garden Nutrient. It's made in California. We import and distribute that through Stealth Garden in Thailand, and we have it registered for use in facilities here. So House and Garden makes nutrients specific to cocoa coir, to soil. We have products that help promote terpene production and allow the phenotypic expression of any particular genetic. If it's going to taste like blueberries, you want it to taste and smell like blueberries. If it's a pineapple, you want it to smell like pineapples, or a lemon haze to smell like lemons. Some products don't allow this phenotypic expression, whereas we have products that can help with that. Getting into, we've got the plant food dialed, that limiting factor is not something we have to worry about. Then we move on to the agronomic touch points of the plant. Defoliating, trellising, training and crop managing, trying to touch the plants as little as possible to get to the best result. You don't want to be defoling 4 or 5 times in a flowering cycle. Every time you touch a plant, it's an opportunity for your staff to get into the facility and cause problems with pests and disease as a vector. Every time you touch the plant, it stresses the plant. So trying to do as little as possible to get the best result, allow maximum airflow and get that canopy uniformity. And some growers have a really, really good strategy for doing this, and that takes years of practice. So finding a grower that has come from some level of commercial production. A lot of black market, small tent growers, they know cannabis, they're passionate about it, but they can touch their plant 400 times, it doesn't matter. If you're operating hundreds or thousands of plants, you need to have that commercial strategy in mind. So minimal touch points to get to the end result, and understanding how that's going to affect different varieties. Some cultivars will stretch, others will stay stocky, some will have a great leaf to bud ratio, others will just be a pain in the ass. So figuring out your cultivar and the recipe for that particular variety. Once we've got all of that sorted, making sure we're not adding any contaminants. If you're testing heavy metals, pesticides, fungicides, any aflatoxins, mycotoxins, yeast and mold and bacteria, you need to be testing clean for all of them. There's no point having to fudge a C of A. So understanding your substrate, if you're in cocoa or rock wool or soil, understanding the quality, understanding your soil, and understanding what you're putting into that mix so you're not adding any risk for heavy metals or contaminants. And then scouting, having good team members that can recognise what they're looking at. Are they scouting for males? Are they scouting for different bugs at different times? And there's really cool AI software starting to come out where you can send people into a field. They will use their phone that'll give you a 97% likelihood of diamondback caterpillar or whatever it happens to be. So that's just starting to evolve where smartphones can make scouting more tech-driven. Like it's not up to human error thinking, oh, I thought I saw an onion thrip, wasn't sure. Your phone will be able to tell you that information. This is just another pretty drone photo. They're really nice to look at. Yeah, and you can see our little staff amenities. We didn't go luxurious. We put in demountables. Our main cultivation team office is a 40-foot container with windows in it. You don't need to spend your money on fancy leather chairs when you can spend it on agricultural equipment because we're farming. This is the mistake that several people have made around the world and something that we wanted to spend your dollars wisely. That's I think, quite pertinent advice in a startup industry. So yeah, we've got the plants grown. We're at the end where we're starting to get into harvest. This is the exciting time. This is when you start to rest a little bit more easily. And we have to harvest fit for purpose. Are we doing artisanal craft flower production? Are we doing biomass for extraction? What scale are we operating at and how much automation or how much are we going to rely on labour? They're very different equations here compared to Australia, compared to New Zealand, and they have to be fit for what you're trying to produce. So work backwards. Look at it and say, I want to produce 30 kilo batches of premium flower. How do I get to that and what's the most logical step? There's no point just growing and then trying to figure out harvest because you'll have some problems, and that's everything from bucking the flower from the stem to trimming the material. Are we dry trimming? Are we wet trimming? What's the pros and cons of both? How are we packaging it? If we're putting it in 20 kilo bags, can our team members move those bags around? All of these different factors have to be considered and worked through, and having a project manager that can allow you to have that foresight is really, really important so you don't suddenly realise you're overloading a cart and you can't get it down a hallway or something. So think about it from the end at the volume that you're looking at, and with the levels of compliance as well, clean packaging, sterilisation between batches, and safe storage and dispatch, so storing the material. Am I doing it on time? Okay, all right. I've got 6 slides that I can churn through really quickly and like a 10-second video at the end. Sorry, I thought that was going to happen. So yeah, we've experimented with curtain drying. We're hanging 4 tons at a time. We use the Mobius suite of automated bucking, milling, trimming, bud sorting machinery. And yeah, this is our methods, or one of our methods that we've found has worked for us. And we're implementing different drying and processing techniques every year. And part of our research is exploring what the next generation of drying looks like. And there's some really, really cool technology in the space. I'll come back next year and present on that. Accreditations, super exciting. We have certified BioGrow organic, which is not easy. They tell us what ingredients, what inputs we can use. Anything inorganic cannot be on our farm. So we walk the walk with BioGrow. They make sure that we're held accountable, and that gives us a point of difference around the world. And we are EU, CU, GACP, MCS accredited. My favourite acronym. Control Union GACP. So keeping that batch separation, keeping that sanitation, keeping that traceability from seed to sale, and having a good quality team that can put that QMS into action without it being a burden on cultivation or processing. So our ESG is something I'm very proud of. We won the Australian Award as a New Zealand company for the ESG, being the best. We also won the award for teamwork, which means we play nice in a team. But our environmental, social and governance really reflects the fact that we are sustainable. We are working towards goals to reduce our footprint and grow cannabis as green as it can possibly be. So yeah, very, very proud of our ESG. Won't go into that too extensively. This one should play. This was just our last, if I get it to move the mouse, last year in Zone 10 coming into flower. Just to give you an idea of the uniformity that we want. Uniformity makes harvest easier, it makes processing easier, it makes site production more efficient. So we're growing what people would call indoor quality, outdoor organically. And it's not easy, and we learn lessons every year, but we're very, very proud of what we're able to achieve. and a lot of it comes down to the genetics that we're able to utilise. So yeah, that was a really, really nice season, and fingers crossed, touching wood, everything is on track this season. We're coming into harvest in the next few weeks, and it's looking better than that season. So I pray to the rain gods, I pray to the weather gods that it all goes well, and then we just get boots on the ground to harvest it. We'll just hang on. Yeah, thank you so much for listening to me. I really appreciate it.
Another big hand to Tom Forrest of Puro NC. Thank you so much, Tom.